okay, one of the areas, Coach Yak has a great tweet out that I want to show you, and it's basically just illustrates how bad the 49ers have been at drafting defensive linemen. The Niners' current regime has drafted the following defensive linemen since taking over in 2017. Robert Beal, Drake Jackson, who might never play again, by the way. We found out that yesterday. Kalia Davis, Javon Kinlaw, Nick Bosa, who basically drafted himself. He was the second pick in the draft. Kentavious Street, Julian Taylor, Solomon Thomas, DJ Jones, Peta Tomapena. Basically, they hit on Jones and Bosa.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of the 10 defensive linemen, they are 2 for 10. DJ Jones and Nick Bosa are their hits. The rest of them are mighty swings and misses. Do you trust this regime to build up this line after looking at the defensive linemen that they've drafted since they've been here?
Yeah, it's funny. John Lynch got a little bit snarky the other day, and he's like, yeah, we have this thing called the draft, and we have a lot of picks coming up, 11 of them. And it's so funny with the Niners because on one end, they've been one of the most talented teams in the NFL in recent memory. And a big reason for that, they've hit on a lot of draft picks. You think about the players who left for big-time dollars. That means that other organizations think that they're really talented. They value them. They drafted Aaron Banks in the second round. They drafted Dre Greenlaw. They drafted Talanoa Hufanga. They drafted Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. And so a lot of the focal points on this team have all been drafted. And then last year, like Ricky Pearsall has some juice. Renardo Green played well. Dominic Pooney looks to be a player. Isaac Arendo has some pop. Malik Mustafa, I'm really high on his future. And so they've had such weird drafts since they took over in 2017, where in the first round, they've hit on Nick Bosa and Brandon Ayuk, and that's about it. For defensive linemen, you just noted, they're 2 of 10, yet they've drafted some of these unbelievable players and studs in the mid to later rounds, but they've missed on all these defensive linemen. You can't miss on defensive linemen in this class. Like, if the Niners were to start a game tomorrow, their starting front would be Nick Bosa, Evan Anderson, Jordan Elliott, and Yetur Gross-Matos. That's a joke. That is a bottom 5 defensive line in the NFL. This defensive tackle class is really deep. There are some really good edge rushers. You need to rebuild the trenches. You need to get better at the point of attack. Right now, this San Francisco 49ers team cannot compete with the teams who are the cream of the crop in the NFC. They can't beat the Eagles along the line of scrimmage. They can't compete with the Lions along the line of scrimmage. They can't compete with the Packers along the line of scrimmage. What have the Vikings done? They have loaded up and got more physical players on the offensive line and the defensive line. Yet, you hear yesterday, the Niners are cool with Colton McKivitz at right tackle. Matt Hennessy and Jake Brendel are going to duke it out for the team starting center role. When are they going to learn their lesson? I'm not sure, but they better learn their lesson quickly as far as player evaluation, what they emphasize and place an importance on, and drafting in the trenches. Because even though some of these offensive line draft picks outside of Dominic Pooney and I guess Aaron Banks, who is really just okay, good player who got great money, they've whiffed on some of these critical areas, and that's part of the reason why they are where they are right now.
No question about it. And when you look at their lack of an ability to hit at the defensive line, it makes this year just absolutely terrifying because they absolutely need to hit in the defensive line at every spot. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to show you Draft Tech because to me, Draft Tech is one of my favorite websites, and it basically shows on here all the different positions, right? These are the top edge rushers. Basically, they've got the D-line broken down into 4 different areas. Edge rushers, 1 techniques, which would be like nose guards.
Yeah.
3 techniques, which would be like movement interior players. And then 5 techniques, who are basically any big-bodied rusher who's going to play outside, Could be a 3-4 lineman. That's what a 3-4 defensive end is what they call the 5 technique.
Yeah.
So a 5 technique could be a big jumbo defensive tackle. It depends on what your scheme is. But I think the Niners need one player at least from all 4 of these different spots. So let's go through, and obviously, you want the best guy in every spot, but you can't get Abdul Carter in every spot. So let's just take a look. This is the edge rush group. Which of the edge rushers intrigues you the most? They've been tied to Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA. But I saw some stats this week that showed that he struggles a little bit. But there's a whole Braden Swinson has great numbers from LSU, Josiah Stewart, Sawyer, and Tuamolo from Ohio State. There's Princely, Umamalian from Ole Miss, Landon Jackson, Kyle Kennard, Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Scorton, Ezaraku, lots of good players for sure. What do you think? We'll go through this and just pick one guy from each category. And obviously you can't be unrealistic. It can't be, I'll just take Abdul Carter. If of these edge rushers, who do you like as a good fit for the Niners?
I know you tweeted about this guy. He's not on that list. I imagine we're going to get to Jaylen Walker, who they might have as a tweener here because he plays linebacker and edge. As far as like the number 11 pick for San Francisco, Mike Green's college production and the way he performed at the Senior Bowl and the quick twitch, the bend, the speed coming off the edge, I'm really intrigued by Mike Green. I mean, he had 17.5 sacks last year for Marshall. Before that, he went to Virginia. And so he's not just a small school guy. Like, he played in the ACC and was an ACC recruit. Shamar Stewart, I'm worried that he's just a good athlete, not a good football player. James Pierce, like Mike Green, has some character concerns. But the player who I like the most probably at number 11 is Mike Green. In the second round, I think Landon Jackson could be a good pick. I think Nick Scorton could be a good selection. Jack Sawyer in the second round. I just love the effort and the hustle from him. And so those are some of the players who kind of have popped to me in the pre-draft process, whether it be round 1 or round 2.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would go further down the list. I kind of like Oladejo.
He's probably a 3rd or 4th rounder at this point.
He's probably a 3rd rounder. Yeah, maybe a 4th rounder. I think you're right. I like David Walker from Central Arkansas. I like Ja Joyner from Minnesota. I think Ja Joyner's a really good player. I've been watching a little bit more of these guys further down the list. Jasheen Davis from Baylor, from Wake, and Steve Linton from Baylor. But I like Oluwafemi Oladejo quite a bit, and David Walker. I do like Landon Jackson. And Donovan Ezaraku, to me, could be amazing. Just when you look at, his production, I mean, kind of like Green, right? He's got the collegiate production, but he also had the workout numbers that were off the charts. So I think Ezaraku, if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with Ezaraku. All right, let's go to the one technique. This is the nose guard list. Kenneth Grant, Tyleek Williams, Deion Walker, Jordan Phillips, C.J. West, Nazir Stackhouse, Caldwell. There's a lot of guys. Jay Toyia. Of the nose guard list, the one techniques, who do you like in this group?
I like Kenneth Grant a lot. I don't think he's a first rounder, but I think if you take him in the second round, I think that he can be a high-level player. Now,
you don't think he's a first rounder?
I don't think he's a first. Not at number 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's worthy of number 11. Now, I'm also not against trading back to like 15 to 17 and trying to sneak back in to the end of the first round. And if you did that, that's where Kenneth Grant, I think, could make a lot of sense if you went edge rusher or offensive tackle with that earlier first round pick. I don't think Grant is a guy who you take at number 11. But at the end of the first round, in the second round, he's by far my favorite player on this list. I know that he was playing alongside Mason Graham and Josiah Stewart. That Michigan defensive front was loaded, but I think that his game translates to the next level.
Yeah, I love Kenneth Grant. I think he's quite a bit better than Mozzie Smith. I think he's quite a bit better than Big Jordan Davis, but in a lot of ways, he comes in the same packaging. If
Yeah.
John Lynch called Howie Roseman and said, "I want Jordan Davis," what round pick would the Eagles ask for in return? Because I've heard in a couple spots that Howie's going to trade Jordan Davis on draft weekend, possibly for a day 2 pick.
Yeah, I would say fourth rounder.
Fourth round.
Because I don't think he's a 3-down player. I think he's a 2-down player who can play 3 downs at some points. He's gotten in better shape over the years, but there hasn't been that consistent production. This is a big year for him going into year 4. Eagles are going to have to make a decision as to whether or not to exercise that 5th-year option. But with this wide 9, I don't think he's a good scheme fit for San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, he would definitely absorb blocks, but I don't know if he can rush the passer. Of this group, I kind of like Jordan Phillips and C.J. West. After the first round, Kenneth Grant, I love, but if you could get Phillips or West, I think those would be nice players. How about the 3 technique group? And this is Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, Josh Farmer, Ty Robinson. There's a lot of good players here. J.J. Pegues. I like some of these guys down the list. Riley Mills, Eric Gregory, Simeon Barrow, Keontae Hamilton from Rutgers. This is a good list. Who's your guy on the 3 technique list?
And these are scheme fits for the Niners, by the way. If Mason Graham falls to the Niners, I think he has the potential to be one of the top players in this draft class. I know that he weighed in 25 pounds lighter than what Michigan listed him as, but I think he's going to be a really good player. If the Niners trade back, Walter Nolan has that quick twitch, explosion, pass rush ability to stop the run, where I think that he could be violent along the interior. Derek Harmon, 313 pounds. He ran a sub-5 40-yard dash. I think that he's really good. Let's see. Keep going down. I like who do I like? Riley Mills, I think 3rd, 4th round out of Notre Dame. He could play defensive tackle and a little bit of defensive end. I think Chris Kosar could do some good things with him. He has a ton of experience and production at the college level, and Notre Dame has played in a bunch of big games against some really good competition. And so he's a good player too. But this list specifically here with this prototype at defensive tackle, scheme fit, and it's very deep where you can get really good players rounds 1 through 4.
Yeah, I like guys like right here in the 3rd round, Josh Farmer, Ty Robinson, Shamar Turner, Darius Alexander, 2nd, 3rd round. I think that's the sweet spot for the 3 techniques. So then here's the 5 techniques. These are guys who can really rush the passer in a number of different ways. Now, I would grab one of these guys as well. I love Aeneas Peebles from Vatex, 6 feet.
You like TJ Sanders too, right?
I do like TJ Sanders, very athletic player. I like Tonka Hemingway quite a bit. One of my favorite players is Savion Jones from LSU. I thought he looked so amazing in the Senior Bowl. He played defensive end for LSU at 290, but he played inside at the Senior Bowl, and he was just his quickness off the ball. You could just see it in the game. I mean, it was just way too much for the interior all-star offensive lineman to handle. So to me, Savion Jones, Tonka Hemingway, Aeneas Peebles, if I could get one of those 3 guys, I like Davin Vann too from NC State, Elijah Roberts. But to me, you get one of each of these groups. You get one edge rusher, give me one nose guard, give me one 3 technique, give me one of these pass rushers, 5 technique. You get one of every group of these guys. I think you'd be all right.
Yeah,
Niners like anybody in this list?
Peebles. Lighter, but he's explosive and quick.
Yeah, very good, very quick, very quick. Okay, couple. Appreciate that. We just wanted to walk through that for a second.
All right, can we talk about
Yeah,
I saw you tweet about Jaylen Walker too.
Yeah, let's talk about Jaylen Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
so intriguing to me at number 11 because
what do you think?
You can use him as an off-ball linebacker and as an edge rusher, and I think he does too at a really high level. So can he help replace Dre Greenlaw and give you pass rushing production? And I'd also love to see how Robert Saleh can use him in a versatility type of role where he's doing both, because I think he's athletic enough to do both, skilled enough, and he's shown that he can do both.
You know, you guys in Philly have so many of the Georgia guys.
Yep.
And yet I watch those guys. Who was the linebacker that went down with the injury late in the year?
Jacoby Dean.
Nakobe Dean.
Yeah. He's
This
more
guy's
of a
better.
Mike guy.
Yeah, but this guy's better than that guy.
Yeah,
I think this guy could play Nakobe Dean's position better than Nakobe Dean. He's a far better athlete.
Yeah.
I think this guy's better than Nolan Smith, who's had great speed coming off the edge. And Nolan Smith's one of Jaylen Walker's, mentors or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want you to watch this. I'm going to share the screen. This is PFF's breakdown. Now, this guy's pretty interesting. He doesn't love Jaylen Walker, and I think he's got this profile down wrong. So listen to his breakdown. It's pretty interesting, though. This guy,
Trevor Sikkema.
Yeah, he makes some good points. Have you had him on the show before? Or
Yeah, I did have him on the show last year. Yeah.
Here he is breaking down Jaylen Walker, and basically what he's going to tell you is he doesn't think he's a fit at either spot.
Jaylen Walker, I'm still nervous about him as a player. 30th right now on the big board. Now he has an average draft position 7 spots higher, so his average draft position is 23. That sort of speaks to, I think a lot of people outside of us are higher on Jaylen Walker. And I really do. I like him as a player, top 30. I think if you wanted to take him back into the first round, early part of the second round, hearing how he talks about the game of football, how he evaluates his own game, how he evaluates the guys he's going up against, having that coach's background to him. I love all of that stuff. It's hard for me to give him this oh yeah, let's put him in the top 20. Let's put him in the top 15. Some people talk about him in the top 10, like for the Carolina Panthers at number 8, because he's not built like an edge rusher at all whatsoever. Can be a very valuable player, but I just think about, I don't love the linebacker instincts that he showcased this past year. So I don't love sort of his feel for spacing and coverage, specifically if you got him in off-ball linebacker roles, and he's just not built like an edge rusher. So given a lot of the intangibles, how highly it sounds like a lot of the people at the Georgia program sort of speak of him, I would definitely take a chance on him. I think he's going to be a good football player, and I like him. Just, I'm not there with that top 20, top 15. So that's where I am with Jaylen Walker.
He makes some really good points, and I like this guy. He's a good analyst.
Brugler has him number 3 on his big board. It hasn't been updated in a while, but number 3 on his big board behind Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter.
I think this is one of the best players that I've seen in a while. I mean, first of all, okay, let's talk about him, what he is. 6'1", 243. So he's not a defensive end. I mean, he is a stacked linebacker in today's NFL.
Yep.
He's got 10.5 inch hand or 10.25 inch hands. He won the Butkus. He's versatile. He's athletic. He's productive. What I really like about him, he's the son of a football coach. His dad, Curtis, was an All-American at Division II Catawba. His brother plays cornerback at Georgia State. He comes from a football family. He's the Dogs' team captain. He led them in sacks the last 2 years. Third team All-American, AP All-American this year. He played on the special teams on punt coverage unit. The leadership that you hear I've got buddies who have gone out to Athens and looked at their film and scouted him and have talked to him, and they say, man, his leadership is really what's famous at Georgia. He's got great burst. He's super tough. He was a 5-star high school recruit. Played on the national championship squad as a freshman. 3 sacks this year against Kelvin Banks from Texas. Dominated Texas in that SEC tilt between Texas and Georgia the first time. Unbelievable first step. Rare bend, rare flexibility. Obviously scheme versatile. 94th percentile speed-wise. He runs in the 4.5s. Got an unbelievable motor. He is raw in pass coverage. But, Chase, what I see is just a Pro Bowl linebacker. He's got a shoulder injury that has to be investigated, but I just see elite pass rush traits, but just a fluid athlete who's physical and tough. And I know Nolan Smith's an edge, but this guy's not an edge. This guy's could be an edge. He's that great, but I think at the pro level, he's a stack backer. And I see Patrick Willis. I see a Hall of Fame. Incredible athlete, incredible person, incredible football player. Some guys don't live for it. This guy lives for it. This guy's all about it. And when you're the best athlete and you produce and you're all about football, turn off the projector, draft that guy, turn in the card. I think he's a special player. He's not a defensive end. So if you draft him to be a defensive end, I do get it. It's a little bit of a projection in the NFL to project him to a stack backer. But I think he's a Pro Bowl stack backer next to Fred Warner and maybe the best player on the Niner defense day one. I'd draft him at 11. I wouldn't have any problems drafting him at 11. I'd rather trade back a couple spots if I could. where are you on Jaylen Walker? And you've seen all these Georgia guys. This guy is, I think, better than all those guys. I think you're muted. How come I don't hear you? Are you muted? Does the audience hear Chase? Because I don't hear Chase.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there we go.
You pretty much, I mean, you broke it down very well. Like, I'm just so intrigued by the athleticism, the football background, the want to, the character, the leadership, the versatility. And for instance, like, I think that you can use him on third down as a pass rusher. And I'm so intrigued by being able to use him in multiple spots. Like, Nolan Smith was 238 pounds at the NFL Combine, and he ran a sub 4.4. And so Walker is a little bit heavier at 243, 245, but has some of that twitch, bend, and speed off the edge. But the instincts at that linebacker spot, we just saw how much the Niners missed that, not having Dre Greenlaw last year. And then he played a half against the Rams, and you saw how beneficial it is to have a player like that. He's now in Denver. And so if you can get a replacement and the Niners might extend Fred Warner, you might shore up your linebacking group. And this Niners defense is really dependent on good linebacker play, but you also need a good pass rusher. And so on third down passing situations, use him there. If he's beating Kelvin Banks, and if he has some of that sack production and ability, I'd like to see the Niners use him as kind of that chess piece because, it's not quite like the NBA that's become positionless, but the NFL, in a way, some positions have become positionless in a way where you just use players to the best of their abilities. Love how the Eagles did that with Cooper DeJean. Like how the Chiefs do it with Trent McDuffie. And while Nolan Smith didn't have a good rookie year, he had 6.5 sacks in year 2, then 4 more in the playoffs, because that twitch, speed, and pass rush ability, that's really what can take you to the next level. I think Walker just has so many great skills and football instincts that you can't always teach, that I would like him at number 11. I'm falling in love with him.